Everyone in the mansion thought she was just the help, with paint-stained overalls and a bucket in hand. She quietly moved through the grand halls, cleaning up after the rich and entitled. Whispers followed her everywhere, mocking her clothes, her silence, and her presence. One elegant woman in particular, draped in silk and full of pride, made it her mission to remind her of her place. But what no one knew was that this quiet woman wasn't who they thought she was. She wasn't a maid. She wasn't even there to work. She was married to the man who had just closed a massive deal buying the entire estate. The elite guests laughed and lounged, thinking they ruled the room, unaware of the shift that had already happened. And when the truth came out, it wouldn't just shake the room, it would shatter their pride. She had watched them, listened, and stayed quiet. But that silence was about to break. What happens when those who look down on others find themselves looking up in shock? Stay tuned to see how one woman's quiet strength turns a room full of judgment into a lesson they'll never forget. Her name was Maya. And before today, no one in that room had bothered to ask who she really was. They only saw the dust on her clothes, the smudge on her cheek, and the bucket in her hand. But behind that simple appearance was a woman with more power than any of them imagined. Just 2 days ago, Maya and her husband Daniel, a quiet but wildly successful real estate investor, finalized the purchase of the grand mansion. It was a surprise gift from him to her, a gesture of love and respect. But Maya had a different plan. She wanted to walk through those halls first, not as the owner, but as someone invisible. She wanted to see the truth with her own eyes. The gathering inside was supposed to be a celebration, a private viewing for a few wealthy families before the estate officially changed hands. Daniel had asked Maya if she wanted to be introduced, but she shook her head. She said she wanted to feel the air of the place first. What she didn't expect was the coldness, the sideways glances, the entitled smirks. And especially not the blonde woman in silk, whose sharp tongue would soon regret every careless word. Maya moved quietly through the house, overhearing conversations she was never meant to hear. One of the guests laughed loudly, saying, "Even the staff in this place dress like they've given up." Another joked that she should be careful not to drip water on the imported rugs. The blonde woman, Olivia, was the worst of them all. With her polished smile and sharp tone, she had a way of insulting without raising her voice. "You missed a spot," she said, tossing a glance over her shoulder, not even looking at Maya fully. "You people should take pride in doing your jobs properly." Maya kept her eyes down, choosing silence over reaction. But inside, she was taking mental notes. Every word, every smirk, every assumption. Meanwhile, Daniel was still in the garden, finishing up a call with the real estate lawyer. None of the guests had met him yet. They just assumed the new buyer hadn't arrived. Olivia, unaware of the connection, was busy trying to impress the other attendees, hinting that she might be interested in purchasing the estate if the deal fell through in another room. 2 servers whispered about Maya. One said she looked familiar, like someone they'd seen in a luxury magazine once. But before they could finish the thought, Olivia's voice cut through the air again. Sharper this time. "Are you deaf or just lazy?" Maya froze. The room went quiet for a second, just long enough for everyone to hear Olivia's voice echo against the marble walls. "Are you deaf or just lazy?" She repeated, louder this time, while sipping from her crystal glass. A few guests chuckled nervously, unsure whether to join in or look away. Maya stood still, gripping the handle of the bucket, her knuckles whitening. She looked up not with anger, but with a calm so steady it made Olivia pause. But Maya didn't say a word. She simply turned and walked away, vanishing down the hallway as whispers began to spread like wildfire. In the dining room, Daniel had finally stepped inside. Dressed casually, No one recognized him as the new owner. He spotted Maya passing by and gave her a slight nod. Only she knew what it meant. The tea was ready, but he was letting her take the lead. Meanwhile, Olivia was rallying the other guests, talking about how the place needed class and how some people just don't belong in homes like this. She had no idea how close she was to a lesson she wouldn't forget. The servers exchanged glances. One of them quickly pulled out her phone, searching Maya's name just to be sure. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God," she whispered to the other. "She's not the help. She's the owner's wife." But before they could say more, Maya stepped back into the room. Maya's return silenced the room. Her overalls were gone, replaced by a sleek, emerald-green dress that shimmered under the chandelier light. Her hair was neatly tied back, her face calm, but her presence was impossible to ignore. Olivia blinked, clearly confused. "Where's the maid?" she asked, trying to laugh it off. But Maya didn't answer. She walked straight past her toward Daniel, who was now standing by the fireplace, sipping from a glass of wine. He smiled as she reached him and gently took her hand. That's when whispers turned into gasps. One of the guests, an older gentleman with a sharp eye for business, stepped forward. "Wait a second. You're Maya Langford. You're on the board of Horizon Realty, aren't you?" Maya gave a small nod. The room buzzed with shock. Olivia's face paled. "This has to be some mistake," she muttered, barely able to hold her glass steady. But the tension only grew thicker then, without warning. A new voice entered the room, an assistant from the real estate team, flustered and out of breath. "Mr. Langford," she said, "we just received a counteroffer on the mansion triple. The current bid from Olivia Monroe's family trust." Every head turned. Olivia stood frozen. Nah. Everyone realized this wasn't just a social insult. This was a calculated move. And Maya wasn't the only one with a hidden plan. A heavy silence filled the room as Olivia's plan was exposed. She hadn't just insulted Maya, she'd tried to buy the mansion right out from under her. Daniel set down his glass slowly, his voice calm but clear. "We're not accepting any counteroffers," he said. "The estate belongs to my wife now." Murmurs erupted among the guests. Olivia tried to recover, forcing a smile. "I didn't know she was your wife. I thought she was a servant." Maya cut in gently, her voice steady. "That's what you saw because that's what you were looking for." Her words struck deeper than if she'd raised her voice. She didn't need to yell. Her truth carried more weight than anything else. In the room, guests began quietly stepping back, embarrassed by what they'd laughed at earlier. Olivia's confidence cracked. But just when it seemed like she'd slink away in shame, she lifted her chin. "You may own the house," she said, "but you'll never belong in our circles." Maya smiled. "Good. I don't want to." Everyone thought that was the end. Lesson learned. Masks off. But then the assistant returned, whispering something to Daniel. His brows rose slightly. He turned to Maya and said, "That family trust Olivia tried to use. It's bankrupt. The offer was fake." Olivia's face crumbled, and this time, Maya didn't walk away. She stayed, not as the help, not as a guest, but as the woman who now owned everything they once thought she didn't deserve. As the final truth settled in, the room grew quiet. Guests began to politely excuse themselves, their laughter now gone, replaced by awkward glances and quiet shame. The woman they dismissed as a maid had just turned out to be not only the owner of the mansion, but someone who had more grace and power than any of them. Olivia didn't say another word. She picked up her purse, eyes lowered, and walked out without looking back. Her world, built on appearances and control, had cracked wide open. Maya stood by the window, taking a long breath as the sun dipped behind the trees. Daniel joined her, slipping his hand into hers. "You didn't have to say anything," he whispered. "I know," she said softly, but they needed to see it. The staff, the real ones, looked at her with a different kind of respect now. She greeted each one warmly, remembering all the small ways they had tried to protect her earlier. From this moment on, the mansion would be more than just a grand house. It would be a home built on kindness, not judgment. In the end, Maya didn't need to prove her worth. She simply let the truth speak louder than anything else.